Welcome back, everybody, for this week's high school football playoff report. George Watson with the Lubbock Avalanche-Journal with you again. And we're down to the final 16 teams in the state of Texas and down to 4 area teams here on the South Plains who are still alive in the high school playoffs. Just 3 weeks left in the high school football playoff season. I know I'm getting excited. I know this is the round where a lot of teams, there's no pretenders at this point. These are all contenders, and all teams right now have a shot for the state championship. And like we said, 4 area teams still alive here on the South Plains, but first we want to get to a review of this last week's games, and none were bigger and none were more exciting than out at Lowry Field on Friday night, where Friendship took on a high-powered Denton Ryan team and in a Class 4A regional semifinal. And it was all Friendship in the first half, and then they had to survive a rough second half, a big comeback by Denton Ryan. Friendship led 14-7 at half and was able to hold the Ryan high-powered offense to just 7 points and just about 200 yards. Forced 2 turnovers and two punts by Ryan, which I'm sure they hadn't had in a long time, and that's what allowed Friendship to get out to a 14-7 lead. However, second half came, and things kind of flipped. Ryan found its offense. Scotty Young is just a phenomenal athlete back there at quarterback. He ended up throwing for 495 yards, 5 touchdowns, just came up too shy of Graham Harrell's single-season touchdown pass record with 65 on the year. But the problem is, Ryan still couldn't stop anybody in the second half, and every time that Ryan scored, Friendship was able to answer with either a running touchdown or a field goal, kept that lead, and was able to hold off Ryan there at the end, getting an onside kick recovery with about 10 seconds left and escaping with the 38-35 victory. So that puts Friendship into the regional final, which we'll get to here in the next segment. Now, going down to 2A, a couple of big games here in the area. Over at Friendship, while the Tigers were playing at Lowry, their home field was being used by a team that likes to throw the ball all over the place, and that is the Muleshoe Mules. And they did it once again, beating Clyde 42-7. And was a little bit of an unusual game in the fact that Clyde had came in and they were one of the top teams in the state. They'd beaten previously number 1 Cisco earlier in the year, but they turned it over 7 times, and Muleshoe was able to convert some of those into points and get them a big lead and then cruise from there. But right now, I tell you, the way that Muleshoe offense is playing, I don't know if anybody can stop them right now. We'll find out this next week, but the Mules keep rolling 42-7 over at Clyde. And then go down south on Saturday, down at Midland at Grande Communication Stadium. The final game played on that old turf. They started ripping it up, I believe, this week, because Idalou and Brady played the final game down there. And once again, it was all Idalou. Idalou's offensive line and their defense smothered Brady all day long and was able to come out with a 26-18 victory that I know it doesn't sound like they dominated them, but consider that Brady didn't find the end zone until there were 40 seconds left in the game. Up to that point, they'd been held to 3 points. And a key in this game, right before half, Brady got the ball with like 11.5 minutes left in the second quarter, trailing 16-3 after Idalou had scored 2 touchdowns on its only 2 possessions. Brady kept the ball for almost the rest of the entire second half, finally gave it back with 2 seconds left in the half, but only after they'd gone on a 23-play drive that covered about 75 yards, ate over almost 11.5 minutes, and got 0 points out of it. Idalou was able to have a goal line stand, a big goal line stand. Brady had a 2nd and 1 on about the 1 front line right there. Just right next to the goal line. They get pushed back, and then 4th down, throw an incomplete pass. Idalou pretty much sealed the win right there with that defensive stand. Get the 26-18 victory. They're on to the next round. Now, unfortunately for their District 3 2A team mates in Roosevelt, their season, their miraculous season, their wonderful season that has come to an end, they come up against that Cisco team that lost to Clyde, and for a while, Roosevelt was in control of that game pretty much, a lot of the first half. The game was tied at 22, and then Roosevelt kicks a field goal right at the beginning of the third quarter and goes up 25-22, but then starts turning the ball over, and Cisco's offense kind of gets in gear, and the Lobos are able to pull away for a 42-25 victory. But let's not forget or discount what an outstanding job Coach Greg Pointer has done out there at Roosevelt, taking a team that has kind of come as an afterthought sometimes in the South Plains, not a very playoff tradition-rich team, but he takes them 3 rounds deep into the playoffs for the first time in school history, basically triples their amount of school playoff victories in school history, and is a very, very strong candidate, I think, for Coach of the Year here on the South Plains. Then you can go down to 1A, and it was a rematch between Stratford and Sundown of a week 1 matchup, I believe it was, where Sundown had some injury problems, had some turnover problems, and lost to a very good Stratford team. This time they went in healthy, and they looked a lot healthier, but once again, Stratford is one of the most outstanding teams in 1A in this area, and the Elks were able to come out with a 48-30 victory, once again beating Sundown, ending the Roughnecks' hopes of getting back to the regional semifinals where they were last year. And then on the six-man level, a couple of big games. The Meta Broncos had finished runner-up in their district, but they'd put together a good playoff run. Unfortunately, they ran into an outstanding Follett team, comes up 5 points short, 45-39, and then you go turn down south. The Borden County Coyotes, I'm telling you folks, this may be the best team they've had since that 1997 state championship team, and they look like they're on a roll right now. They get the win over Sierra Blanca 64-36, and now they meet Silverton in the next round, which we'll get to in a little bit. So we had 7 teams to start the week. Now we're down to the fearsome foursome, and when we come back, I'll preview each one of those games right here on LoneStarVarsity.com.